Hi, thank you so much for joining us on another informative episode of Get to Know Your ERB series. My name is Chimwemwe Lungu and I am your host for this particular episode. This week's episode is centered around the Finance Department of the Energy Regulation Board. I am currently joined by the Director of Finance at the Energy Regulation Board, Madam Mwenya Chama. Thank you so much for joining us, ma'am, on this week's episode of the Get to Know Your ERB series.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So the Finance Department is responsible for managing the ERB's financial resources, ensuring transparency and accountability in revenue collection, budgeting, and also finance compliance among licensees. How does the Finance Department manage the ERB's revenue collection and budgeting processes?
Okay, so the ERB generally is responsible for the regulation of the energy sector. So in the energy sector, we have different players. Those different players have financial obligations to meet. Those obligations are usually communicated at the point of issuing of a license. So that includes the payment of license fees, as well as other charges and fees, which are necessary for us to ensure that we have energy products that are of quality and that there's sustainability in the provision of the services. So with regard to the financial management process, the ERB Finance Department is responsible for ensuring that each of those different industry players submit returns, and that when they submit returns, they make their payments by the due dates, which is mainly the 10th of a subsequent month. And with regard to the budgetary process, the Finance Department coordinates the preparation of a budget for the ERB and also does monitor the implementation of the budget and the review processes of the budget, that is reviewing the performance against the budget, is all done by finance. That is our role around that, those two activities. Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. You would agree with me, Director, that transparency is very, very important between the ERB and your stakeholders, because then it builds trust. So what measures are in place to ensure transparency and accountability in ERB's financial management?
Okay, so the way that we ensure transparency and accountability is through reporting. We have various reports that we submit. We do submit reports to the board in terms of how the income has been generated, the expenditures have been generated. So we do quarterly management reports. We also do our ad hoc reports with regard to how we account for our transparency towards the responsibility that we've been given, because we generally collect fees and funds, some of which are remitted to Central Treasury, like the license fees are all in totality remitted to Central Treasury. So on a monthly basis, we submit returns to the Ministry of Finance via the Ministry of Energy. So on a monthly basis, they get to see our reports and the details of what we have collected to contribute to the National Treasury in form of non-tax revenue, the license fees. And then to the general public, ERB adopts international financial reporting standards, and the financial statements are prepared on the basis of the international financial reporting standards. So those are published on the ERB website for any member of the public to generate the reports, as well as just get acquainted with how the performance has been with regard to income generation and the expenditure of the ERB.
Director, let's talk about compliance, because it safeguards financial integrity in the energy sector. How does the department monitor financial compliance among licensees and also stakeholders?
Okay, so in terms of compliance, like I alluded to earlier, the licensees at a point of issuance of license to an industry player, they are guided on the specific financial obligations. They are guided on the specific due dates for the payments and for the submission of the returns. So what actually happens is that each of the licensees submit self-assessed returns. So they do their own assessments on the basis of the sales that they have sold and apply the applicable rates of the charges and fees that are payable to the ERB. So for ERB Finance Department to ensure that there's compliance, we monitor those payments and those returns on a monthly basis. And then where we notice that there's failure, we do issue demand letters and follow up on payment. Where there's still failure, we do pursue the matters through our legal department. We also do institute penalty charges where there's complete failure.
Amazing. Director, did I cut you short?
No, I'm done.
I'm sure a lot of our viewers out there would like to find out, what role does financial planning play in achieving the ERB's long-term strategic objectives?
Okay, so what we have in place as ERB for the long-term financial strategic goals, we have a planning period of 5 years. So, and then we have set out a number of objectives that are mainly centered around effective stakeholder management and also around operational efficiency. And we also center those strategic objectives around operational efficiency. So the role that finance department plays is in the sense that we do undertake a review of the financial status of the organization in relation to our revenue sources, and then also we do cost the different activities to just see what each activity that is necessary for regulating the energy sector would attract. So then in reviewing the financial state, that is income and expenditures, we are then able to make informed decisions. The board of directors for the ERB management are able to make informed decisions that is based on the actual state of the matters. But then what is also there is that having in view the long-term strategic objectives, we do look at what are the risks that may render the achieving objectives impossible. So then we put in place risk management strategies to ensure that nothing stops or stands in the way of achieving the objectives. So finance department really is at the center of ensuring that those goals that are set are achieved at the end of time.
Absolutely amazing. Given your explanation today, Mrs. Chama, how then does the department balance operational needs with long-term financial sustainability?
So it also just goes back to the strategic plan. We have a strategic plan, which is a 5-year period. Within there, we do structure what activities will be undertaken in each year of those 5 years. So then we do have work plans that cover a specific period. So it's more of an arrangement where you ensure that the activities that are set out in each year are really targeted towards meeting the overall objective. So it's more of like slicing a cake one piece at a time. And that's the approach that we take. So at the end of the day, we will meet the current needs and also meet the long-term goals.
Let's talk about technology. What technologies does the department use to enhance financial compliance, monitoring, and also reporting?
So as finance, what we use for compliance, that is in our interaction with the different industry players whom we call licensees, what we do is, what we use is a management information system. So the management information system is integrated with the licensing system. And so that is what the licensees use to submit their returns. And then we do have online payments that are also available to the public. They pay via bank through the online payment system. Of course, we do have the accounting system that we also use for reporting purposes. And for that, we use Sage accounting system.
Madam Director, collaboration improves resource management and accountability. How does the finance department collaborate with other departments to ensure financial processes align with regulatory objectives?
Okay, so finance department, being a support function, is very much integrated with what happens in the core functions of the ERB, what happens in the specific departments like economic regulation, technical regulation, and other departments as well. So the role of finance is really centered around the different activities that are well articulated even in the strategic plan and in the daily activities. And so the finance ensures that in our day-to-day activities, we ensure that we have a coordinated approach to recording the transactions as are driven by the different departments. And we also collaborate with other departments through the various meetings that are held. We do hold management meetings, we do hold staff meetings, and at the end of it all, our focus is to ensure that that which sits in the strategic plan is implemented and implemented in a coordinated manner.
Any last message you have to the viewers out there, Mrs. Chama?
So the last message to the viewers is that you have every reason to trust the ERB Finance Department, in the sense that we are very transparent in the manner that we account for the different business financial transactions. We are very open to the extent that our reports, like I said earlier, are published on the website. And we are very much committed to delivering on the ERB mandate, which is to regulate the energy sector and to also ensure that we are responsive to the stakeholder needs by ensuring that quality, sustainable and reliable energy products are delivered to the general public. So we are really very much working together with everybody else in the Energy Regulation Board and the government at large to ensure that the energy sector does thrive.
Thank you so much for joining us on this week's episode of Get to Know Your ERB. We really do appreciate you making time to have this interview with us.
You're welcome.
Dear viewers, thank you so much for staying tuned. And if you're just joining us, you have been watching Get to Know Your ERB series. My name is Chimwemwe Lungu and I have been your presenter for this particular episode. Do not forget to continuously get interactive with us on all our social media platforms. That is Financial Insights across all social media platforms: Facebook, Twitter, we are on LinkedIn as well as YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us once again. Remember, get to know.